All right, welcome into another episode of the 2022 MLB Draft Show. And tonight we've got one of the premier college bats in the country. We've got Tennessee's own Jordan Beck. Jordan, welcome into the show, man. The pride, if I'm not mistaken, the pride of Hazel Green, Alabama. Good to have you on, man.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, but proud of Hazel Green for sure. Can't forget where you come from.
Absolutely.
Damn right. These episodes, we like to just kind of throw the floor to you and give you a chance to talk about yourself and introduce yourself to the listeners and the viewers. So, let us know who you are on the field and a little bit about yourself off the field.
Yeah, I'm a Tennessee baseball player. I play right field, number 27. Hopefully, you'll see some fireworks this year from our team. I think we got a pretty good team, and I think that I think you'll see a lot from us. But a little bit about my personal life. I think that I got three sisters, one older, one middle, and another younger too. Half full and adopted. So I got the full array. I got two parents, married, and actually, I guess if you want me to throw a fun fact in there, just bought a house. So we're in the process.
Look at you, man!
All right.
Yeah, and in the process of renovating that and getting things going and off the ground. So pretty good on my side.
You're a busy man.
A busy man indeed. You got a lot going on, man. Let's talk a little bit about some of your talents on the field. Power hitter, right field, center field, left field. You can play them all. Had a pretty good summer this year in an abbreviated stint with Harwich, the Cape Cod League. Where do you think your best tool is? If you were to define yourself, if you were to fill out your own scouting report, where does it start?
Yeah, I think I honestly kind of get asked that question a lot. So this will be perfect right into the segue into that. But I think, power, is the first thing that probably jumps off the board. But I would say that having a bigger body and being more athletic than most people with a body type like mine, I think that's kind of the first thing that would stand out. At least if I was a scout and I walked through the field, I'd be like, you see the body, like, yeah, great. That looks good. Now let's see what he can do. But I feel like I got a lot of talents on the field. It really just depends. I like to pride myself in being able to play multiple positions. So, I can show versatility in that way. But I think if you just had to give me one overall, I think it'd definitely be power.
I want to follow up on that really quick before we go into the next topic. You had 15 bombs this year. Which one stands out the most?
That's a good question. The most memorable for me, it was a midweek walk off. I personally had never hit a walk off home run before, so that was pretty memorable for me. But I'd say if it wasn't that one, it would probably be the one I hit at the SEC tournament. I think that was one of the better swings I've ever put on a ball. And honestly, if I could have that as a wallpaper or screensaver or something, I'd probably have that going on repeat for sure.
Nice, man.
Can't say I blame you there.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So sticking with we talked about the Cape Cod League a little bit. How would you say SEC ball compared to the Cape Cod League this summer?
Yeah, the Cape it's a little different than kind of what you're used to. I don't know what JUCO's like, but honestly, I feel like it has a JUCO vibe to it. Like you're taking, at least our team, like you take a yellow bus, you ain't got no AC. Like you go to the field and you got BP, you show up an hour before. Like it's honestly, really, it's travel ball. That's kind of what I'd compare it to. But from what you're used to, and it's a different viewpoint. All the pitchers up there are really good. You're not going to see any slappies, so to say. So I think that's the first biggest thing. But the second thing is there's no batter's eyes up there, and that's a different thing. So when you got these big arms thrown at you, and it's tough to pick up the ball up there, it's just a chain link fence see through out there, and you're up there swinging at something that you think's coming at you, but you really don't know. So that was probably the first thing I'd attribute it to. And the fields are different. So there's a lot of things up there that aren't in your favor. But obviously you see people up there excel to the fullest, and I think that if you play good up there, you're probably a pretty good player. I would say.
Do you have a fond memory for a pitcher on the Cape or even in the SEC that you saw in 2021 that really stands out as just being like otherworldly nasty?
Yeah, well, you probably could find this on video. Coach V had just actually he had got thrown out of the game. I think it was Coach V and against Vanderbilt. He got thrown out of the game like it was the end of inning, like in between innings, and I was a leadoff batter coming up. Kumar Rocker on the mound. And I mean, he's been shoving it to us the whole game. I think he's got 8 shutty going, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to sell out first pitch heater right here. I think he's going to try to blow me up, get the crowd going because I mean the crowd had already erupted, and he threw about a 43-foot breaking ball, and I swung at it before it even left his hand.
Oh, no, 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 no.
I think that's probably the most memorable for me that I can remember. That'd probably be a meme somewhere. I'm sure. So
It will.
that's
I'm
for
gonna,
sure.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna splice it into this video, right?
Yeah, go ahead. No, that thing is actually pretty funny. It's pretty bad.
How do you carry on an at bat after a swing like that?
You know, I think that's just baseball in general. I mean, you got to have a short-term memory, so you gotta just shut it off and be like, well, good pitch by him and keep rolling. To be honest, really, you get a lot of them. I mean, there's some nasty pitches going around now. I think pitchers are definitely a little ahead of hitters, so to speak. So I think you obviously will see that at the big league level a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a great mentality to have, especially as a hitter. Climbing the ranks of baseball. I mean, the pitchers are never going to get any easier. So being able to compartmentalize that and put a tough swing or a tough at bat behind you like that is a great asset to have.
Oh yeah. I think I was about to say I read a podcast, not read a podcast. I listened to a podcast on the way home the other day, and Theo Epstein was talking about how far ahead the pitchers were of hitters right now, and they were talking about trying to do things in the minor leagues like supplement, like moving the mound back like a foot or something, and maybe trying to lower the mound or higher the mound. And they obviously play with the baseballs a ton, but I mean you obviously can see how far ahead pitchers are than hitters with the strikeout rates going on.
Yeah. Where do you fall on the sticky stuff argument? Does it bother you at all, or?
I mean, to an extent, no, because there are some big meatheads that sweat a lot and they throw real hard, and I'd prefer them to have more control. But I also think that if it's enhancing your ability beyond what you can actually do, I think there's definitely a walkway that you probably don't want to cross there. I'm sure there's something they can bring along the lines that maybe doesn't increase it 500 RPMs. Maybe it's just 50 or 100 that'll help them get a little more grip. And I think that's probably the best way to do it, or maybe rub something different on the balls because I mean the balls are pretty slick when they just get rubbed up. So I definitely can feel for them on that end. But if they're trying to strike me out with something they really don't have, I don't really like that a whole lot.
This is why I like talking to SEC guys, because you don't get big old meatheads with many other parts of the country. What you got, Drake?
All right, man. We changed gears here a little bit. What are you working on this fall and in this winter going into the next season?
Yeah, for me, I mean, if you go and look at probably my statistics, I think the biggest thing for me is cutting down some strikeouts and making sure I'm just swinging at pitches within the zone. It's really a tough thing to do, and I think it just kind of comes with maturity along the way. But I mean, I'm working every day now to do the best I can to improve that. I mean, I know that sky's the limit for me if I can put those things together, and I think that if I do that, you'll just see the tools on full display.
Good answer. You've got to look ahead. I mean, everyone does. Growing up, you look at big leaguers in high school and college. You look at big leaguers. I'm curious if there's a guy that throughout your childhood, high school, college, anywhere along the lines, you've kind of idolized in terms of your swing and the type of player that you'd like to almost mimic.
Yeah, I grew up. My first introduction to baseball, where I came from, they were big Cardinals fans. So I always grew up a big Pujols guy. So that was my first introduction. Who I enjoyed the most. I was actually really never a big favorite team guy. So I was kind of bounced around with players. So I mean, there's a ton of players I really enjoy. But once Pujols left and went to the Angels, I mean, I followed him a lot, and then Mike Trout came along. So I can't say that I wouldn't ever want to model my game after him. So I think Mike Trout, I mean, Bryce Harper's fun to watch. Like I love watching guys that got some spirit and energy to them. I mean, I think that spices up baseball, and I think that's what people want to see.
Along the lines of your swing, any movement patterns, any specific quirks about a hitter that you've picked up over the years?
I think if you took one thing from the big leagues, obviously everybody's swing looks different, but
Yeah.
if you break it down from a video like mechanical standpoint, I think big leaguers just have their bat in the zone for a really long time, and they get it. I mean, they get it on plane early and they finish late through the zone. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would say that I look for and try to mimic in other people's swings, because obviously they're the most consistent at the toughest level to hit at. So I think just trying to keep my bat in the zone for the longest is probably the number one thing.
Yeah.
What's your process like when you're in the box facing a tough pitcher? What's going through your mind? Are you like just kind of clearing things out, or are you going in there with a specific game plan?
That I would say that probably depends on the pitcher, kind of what pitches he has and what his tendencies look like on our analytics and stuff like that. But for me, honestly, I think it comes down to if you're facing a big name guy or something like that. I think that's the best time to compete. I think competing is really what it comes down to. And if you're a real competitor, I think you live for moments like that. I think if you shy away from them, that's when you got the baseball players that fall off. And you obviously want to make a big splash on the scene with a big pitcher like that. So I live for those moments. I love to face pitchers like that, and I enjoy the challenge. This game's tough, and you gotta have fun off the pitchers that you get to face anyway. So I think that's kind of the simplest way to put it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll give you one more baseball question, and then we'll move on to some of the more silly questions, if you will. Tech. How much tech do you incorporate? I know Tennessee's kind of on the cutting edge of some of these different tech movements. Blast motion, K-Vest, Rapsodo, hit tracks. What do you like to incorporate in your game?
Yeah, the thing I probably would use the most is the blasts. I like to look at those numbers. But the second thing, we have this machine called Spin Ball, and you can actually plug like any spin rates of any pitcher that you want, big leagues, high school, whatever you want. So you can plug those in, and it's got an iPad, and it's the only machine I've seen where you can actually mix pitches of guys. Like if I wanted to go hit off Garrett Cole, I could plug in his spin rates, his curveball, his slider, his changeup, put it in, and you can throw fastball, changeup, slider, curveball, and then the machine will move on its own like every pitch and change what it looks like. So I think that's probably one of the biggest tools that I have and that we use as a program.
I saw Joe Adell playing off that iPitch machine at Driveline a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's no way you could get me to step into that box.
Yeah,
there's no way, man. That machine is wicked.
Yeah, that thing throws a lot of stuff. It can throw whatever you want. Fork ball, splitter. You can just make stuff up on that thing. I bet if you went to the pitch creators, that's probably where they find some pitches at for sure.
Probably, man. Well, Drake, you got any more baseball questions, or you want to hop into these different ones?
Let's hop right into it.
All right, man. All right, Jordan. So usually we end this with 3 questions, give you a chance to talk about your competition, talk about your teammates. I'm going to start this off just because you play for the University of Tennessee. You got a ton of dudes. I mean, Tennessee's stacked. Who's got the worst style on the Tennessee team? Is it Joyce? Is it Blade? Is it Halverson, McCormick? Who you got? Gilby?
No, there's 2 names that come to mind. One's a freshman named Kavaris Tears. I mean, he may have the worst style I've ever seen. Or we got another pitcher. He's a sophomore this year, Xander Seacrest. His is pretty bad. You should see some of the outfits he comes to the field with. I could probably wear Crocs and just like something basic, and it'd be a better outfit than what he's got on.
What about the other side of it, man? Who's got the best swag, the best style on the team?
Yeah, I think those people that come to the field, we got a couple guys that really come dressed to the field for the most part. I would say Kyle Booker, he's definitely comes dressed to the field all the time. Christian Scott, he stays coming dressed to the field. Trying to think somebody else, maybe even Jazzy. I mean, he's one of our shortstops. He might come in there with some nice clothes on too. So I think those 3 are probably the ones I can think of right off the top of my head.
Who's got more raw power, you or Drew Gilbert? And who's got a better flair for the dramatic, you or Drew Gilbert?
I have more raw power than Drew, but he's definitely more dramatic. I mean, if you meet him or if you have him on you'll definitely be able to tell. Hopefully, it may take him a minute to bring it out, but he's probably the most dramatic human you could meet in a big situation. You can just watch
All
that
right.
highlight video.
Tennessee, SEC, last question here, and then we'll get to kind of our trademark question. Who's the worst cook on the team? Because SEC does it right.
Dude, honestly, we don't have to cook too much, but I mean, if I'm just guessing again, a bad cook, it's not Joyce, that's for sure. I don't really have a name. I don't get to see that many people cook, to be honest. I mean, most of the food, if you just take it home with you, so it's never an opportunity to cook. But we actually had a cooking class over the end of the semester, and there was a lot of people that had no idea how to cook a piece of chicken. So I mean, honestly, I'd say about half our team don't know how to cook. So I would go with that for sure.
Is there one guy specifically that if he served you a meal, you'd be like, you know what, I ate before I got here?
Yeah, I would probably say Blade. He's one of the sketchier humans I've met. So I think anything Blade brings me that I haven't seen what he's done behind the scenes, I think that would freak me out a little bit.
You know, Blade is on the show next.
Well, even better. He might not give you a straight answer, that's for sure.
All right, man. Last question. It's kind of our trademark. What is the most random fact you know about anything on this planet that not a lot of people know?
I mean, that's a great question, isn't it? Just a random fact. Can it be about me? Because on the planet, I have no idea. I watch some crazy things.
We've learned that if you stare into the sun, you can't sneeze, which I think a lot of people already knew, but nobody looks into the sun.
That's false. Okay, that's a fun fact. Evan Russell, he swears to me when he looks into the sun, he sneezes every single time. And he actually does. Like he will look at the sun and sneeze. But that's why I'm gonna say, I don't know whoever told you that, but I think that's false because Evan's always told me that that when he looks into the sun, he sneezes, and he does it all the time in the outfield. So I think
what
I
are you
believe
guys
him.
doing in the outfield, man?
Honestly, I probably know a lot more than I should about a lot of people. So I mean, we're not doing nothing crazy, but we got some weirdos for sure.
Jordan Beck, thank you so much for joining the show, man. This was an entertaining episode. Really enjoy having you on. Rooting for Tennessee. I think you guys are absolutely loaded this year. For Joe Drake, go get him this year, man.